Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's the boy Kamal. I'm coming to y'all live from Philly. So listen, let's fuck up this world. Let's fuck up the world, all right? So listen, the topic of this joint, I'm going to keep this short, man. One of my favorite songs from Jay-Z, right? FUTW, fuck up this world. Excuse my language, but I love the song, and he makes a hell of a point in a few verses in his song, right? So let's get right into it. In this song is actually off of his Holy Grail album, the Magna Carta Holy Grail, all right? Great album, great song. He dropped some heavy Jews in the song, specifically. Let's get to it. He said, teacher, teacher, let me unteach you. All the shit they taught you that got you all in the bleachers. If you front row at the Knicks game, those are Spike Lees. If you front row everywhere, you want the H.O.Vs. All right, so this is the verse, right? If you haven't heard this song, listen to the song. It's called Fuck Up This World. Actually, it's actually just used the letters on the album, F-U-T-W. The song is Holy Grail, Magna Carta Holy Grail. Get the album, check the song out. Now, if you've heard the song, but maybe the lyrics went over your head or you really didn't pay much attention to it, go back and listen to the song, all right? So we're only focusing on these few bars. Teacher, teacher, let me unteach you all the shit they taught you that got you all in the bleachers. If you front row at the Knicks game, those are Spike Lees. If you front row everywhere, you want H.O.Vs, all right? So let me break down this verse, and I'm gonna get into the correlation of why I'm breaking this up. Because it's important, right? This is important. He dropped some heavy Jews within these bars, but you got to kind of be paying attention. So, first and foremost, teacher, teacher, let me unteach you. All the shit they taught you that got you all in the bleachers. This is a jab at our educational system. Not an unjust jab, but a truly on point, hit the nail on the head type jab, right? Because most of the stuff we learn in our education system does not prepare us financially to go out into the world. We get a whole lot of fluff that we don't need that's specific to school just to get a good grade. But you know what? When you graduate from school, when you go to a bank, you need loans and you need things of that nature. They do not care about your report card. They care about your financial report card, which is what? Your credit scores and things of that nature. They don't teach us that in school, right? So we get the basics, add, subtract, multiplication, division. Of course, we need that. But everything else, we out here bare, butt naked with nothing. All right. So teacher, teacher, let me unteach you all the shit they taught you that got you all in the bleachers. So it's time to unlearn what they taught us because it hasn't gotten us anywhere, especially if you're from my demographic. If your skin color looks like mine. Now, this is not to exclude anybody else because the majority of the U.S. is in the bleachers while you got very few very wealthy individuals that controls the majority of the wealth. You get what I'm saying? But it's only because they were taught differently than how we were taught. Again, it's time to unteach us the shit that they taught us that got us in the bleachers. So this is an analogy as far as sports, as far as going to see sporting events. Because what? You go to a sporting event or a concert, typically, if you're the closer you get to the action, the more what? The higher price the seats are. So if you're on a floor at a basketball game or you're in that front row at a basketball game, there's some very expensive seats. The cheaper seats is where? Back there in the bleachers, where the majority of us are. So the reference when he said Spike Lees, if you front row at the Knicks game, so if you watch basketball, right, you know about Spike Lee, he's a famous director. He's a crazy diehard Knicks fan. If you watch a Knicks game to this day, 9 times out of 10, you're going to see Spike Lee on the floor, front row at the Knicks game. So that's why H.O.V said if you front row at the Knicks game, those are Spike Lee. So Spike is always in the front row. He's pretty wealthy. He's pretty successful in this field, right? So he's in the front row at the Knicks game. Those are Spike Lees. So that's kind of a term you can also use for floor seats. You can say I got them Spike Lees, right? I got the Spike Lees because you're on the floor. If you front row everywhere, you're in the H.O.Vs. Meaning H.O.V, we all know H.O.V's status. We know his wealth. So he's saying he's front row everywhere, not just the Knicks game, but wherever he go, any event he attends, he's front row, front and center. All right? So this is the correlation between the wealthy and not so wealthy, the rich and the poor. The people who got the money, front row, floor seats, everybody else, back in the bleachers. So it's time to unlearn the stuff that they taught us that got us all in the bleachers. Fast forward to the day. We had this whole COVID-19 thing going on. And my condolences goes out to anybody who lost their lives, any surviving members of anybody who lost their lives. I sympathize with you guys. This was truly a tragic event. It happened. All we can do is, continue to press forward. All right. So when I bring up the COVID-19, I'm not focusing on the disease itself, but more so the fallout. And what I mean by the fallout is that right now, I think it's about 4.4 million people in the U.S. that don't have jobs. You might be the person that don't have a job. And so now what? You're dependent upon the government to feed you. You're dependent upon the government to feed your children. You're dependent upon the government to feed your wife. You get what I'm saying? Because we had this false sense of security about these jobs, now we're in a situation where we're struggling. Things are uncertain because we place too much trust in somebody else, which is what everybody taught us. This is the thing we have to unlearn, that we have to become more self-sufficient, more independent, more financially strong to where we can do for ourselves and not be dependent upon a paycheck. You get what I'm saying? So even our parents, more than likely your parents, just like mine, taught us what? Go to school, get a good job, graduate, go to college, graduate college, get out, get a good government job that pays you what? Benefits. And when you can work till you retire, you can get a pension. Our parents taught us that. Their parents taught them that. Their parents' parents taught them that. Their parents' parents taught them that, and so on and so forth, going back generations. So what I want you to ask yourself is, hold up. Your great-grandmom, your great-great-grandmom kept teaching each other this. What era did they grow up in? The 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s? The era that they grew up in, right? Where they came up with this success strategy of how to live life, of how to get ahead, is nothing like 2020, nothing like the 2000s, period. You go back to the 50s, 60s, and 70s, that is not the 2000s. We cannot use an antiquated success strategy, success model, and apply it to 2020s. It's not going to work. When you do that, you get what we have today, where you got millions upon millions of people dependent upon what? Their government to feed them, to house them, to pay bills, to feed their children, right? That's a scary situation to be in. You get what I'm saying? It's a scary situation to be in. The thing is, this is not the first time something like this has happened. I don't mean COVID-19, but what I mean is a certain event that occurred that had a fallout to where millions of Americans lost jobs and lost homes and lost cars and lost a lot of other things, right? So if we don't learn from history, we're doomed to repeat it again. And I think this song, these verses from this song spoke volumes, right? Spoke volumes. So if it went over your head, I'm hopefully I shed some light on it. Teacher, let me unteach you. All the shit they taught you that got you all in the bleachers. If you front row at the Knicks game, those the Spike Lees. You front row everywhere, you're in the H.O.Vs, right? It's time to make a change. It's time to do things a little different. It's time to do things a little different. If you don't learn from the past, then we're doomed to do it again, and we're doomed to fail, and we're doomed to be right back in the same situation we're in right now. All right? So again, my name is Kamal, man. I just came here to shed some light on that. This is the type time I'm on. This is what we promote. This is what we into. 24/7. This is what we do. So if you want to learn a little bit more about what we're doing over here, about how to unlearn what they taught you, click the learn more button at the bottom of the screen. Let's talk. Let's have some conversation, and let's do some things together. So again, the name is Kamal Robbins, and I'm coming to you live from Philadelphia, PA. Peace out, y'all. Be safe. Have a blessed weekend, and hopefully I hear from you guys soon.